Hello everyone, Derek Stam Toys, and we are back with another action figure review. Today we've got the Ultimate Edition series. I want to say it's 23. I'm not exactly too sure what the number is off the top of my head, but it is the same series that includes the Bray Wyatt Black Light match that he had not that well. It has actually definitely been a little bit longer than I like to think about, but the Bray Wyatt last match figure and the Finn Balor Ultimate Edition that had the Chase variant. Of course, I don't have the Chase, but I do have the other two, so we can maybe get some side-by-side comparisons if I feel like digging them out, and well, not digging them out, but trying to find them at least. And I don't know exactly, but getting into the figure box itself, you got the nice little promo shot of him on the side. Of course, going to show that off a little bit now that I mention it, even though you would have saw it a few seconds ago. You've got the nice little promo shot on the back here, which, this one actually has some extra detailing here in the promo shot than it does in the actual figure. We'll actually get into that when we get him out of his plastic prison. But speaking of that, why don't we get this Solo Sikoa out of his plastic prison? Alrighty, you guys. Now that we've got the Solo Sikoa out of his package, and it took me about 30 minutes to get everything I wanted to set up, not just talking about the figure himself, of course, but the massive pile of figures, we will be doing a little bit of a Ultimate Edition comparison / a couple of elites. I would have thrown some other figure brands in there too, like the AEW and the MLW figures, but we're gonna have plenty. So, without further ado, of course, as you saw a second ago, he has 3 sets of interchangeable hands, including weapon and mic holding hands on the figure already. We've got a set of pointer fingers and a set of Samoan spike fingers. Of course, the one thing I am actually pretty intrigued by, which I kind of wish they would have done for like the whole thing, but we'll get into that a little bit more when we look at the figure. We've got actual taped hand, that's a sculpted tape hand mold that we got with Solo Sikoa. And with the render image that we got, I never would have thought that would actually come to fruition. And of course the other hands are like that if I would stop having fucking butterfingers, and we could actually show you here that this Solo Sikoa actually is really cool in his own unique ways. Of course, we also have the hand with the hand tattoo, which, if we take a look at the pointer finger, it's some nice tribal designing there, and I'd say it's fairly clean looking amongst all the hands as well. So, I'm fairly happy with the detailing so far. Of course, he comes with 3 interchangeable heads, including the one that comes on the Solo already, which I want to say also came on his first 2 elites, if I recall correctly. The other 2 head scans that are on the ring mat are completely new. We've got the screaming expression, which is a nice little touch, because if he's in a submission hold, he could be laying there screaming, or if he's delivering the Samoan spike, he could be doing that little scream that he does right before he hits it. And then we've got a nice little grimacing face here, like he's pissed off. Maybe Roman Reigns said something wrong to him, and now he's thinking in his head, let me go call Tamatonga and Tongaloa, and let me call my old tag partner Jacob Fatu, and let's cause some havoc in this shit. Anyway, of course, we've got the nice plastic towel wrap thing, which, doesn't bother me all the way, as it's something we've seen multiple times before. Cloth towels are just not their strong suit, so it's whatever. At least we've got this nice hoodie that feels like hoodie material. You've got the Samoan spike hand on the back. Got Solo written down the front in the nice, like, tribal-ish. Well, it is tribal. It's got the designs in it, but you've got the tribal wordplay here. I don't know exactly what the fuck I meant by wordplay, if I'm gonna be honest, but this hoodie is really nice. Hopefully it doesn't stain, because if I recall, last time we got a hoodie that kind of felt like that, at least on my own personal experience, I'm saying it like we as a fandom are experiencing it. The Mia Yim Reckoning figure had a hoodie similar in feel to that one, and that one stained her, so hopefully that does not do any sort of staining, but meh. With all that being said, we can move all this extra shish aside for the moment, and we can take a nice gander at this Solo Sikoa. Of course, the head scans, they all look pretty nice and even. The fade here on the side of the head scan along with the blonde all matches up fairly well. I can say I definitely do like the torso choice, even though the arms maybe could be a little bit bigger. I don't know, I still think they work out fairly well for a Solo Sikoa, because it's not like he's the biggest guy, but he is still a stocky guy nonetheless. Of course, all of his tattoo work is really nice, including the ones that come out onto the shoulder piece here. Maybe could have extended it a little bit more on this butterfly joint here, but as far as I'm aware of, this side is all good all the way around except for a little bit back here, but I can somewhat accept that. Either way, it's not too terrible. I will say though, for everything that we get here, his arms are really stiff, and I don't know why. Like, that actually took a little bit of force just to use the double jointed arms there. But yeah, you know, speaking of that, why don't we get into a little bit of articulation as we work our way into the lower half of the figure. Of course, you've got head articulation, it can move around. You got the good old 360 if you want to take it there, so he can move like an owl in that sense. We've got the nice butterfly joints with the upper torso articulation. It's got a pretty alright move like ab crunch. Definitely a nice decent back bend there. We've got some waist swivel, some wrist swivel. Of course, the wrist bends. I do wonder if the tattoo carries there. It looks like it does, so pretty nice to see that there. Kind of hoping the tattoo doesn't wear away like the Finn Balor like hand tattoo tends to. But of course, coming down to the lower leg, you've got a nice kick forward. We can put him down on the mat for this one. Nice little kick forward there. Of course, you've got the drop down hips, so you want to be careful putting that back up into place. You don't want the figure to break, though the drop down hips are fairly smooth on this one. Of course, he can do the splits as well. Hit a really nice super kick. Talk about catching someone out of midair with that super kick. Could Shawn Michaels to Shelton Benjamin someone. If you don't know what I'm talking about, well, in the old Raw intro for a match I'm assuming they had, Shelton Benjamin went for a springboard and Shawn Michaels had just caught him dead on for a super kick, and it was beautiful. Anyways, of course you got upper thigh rotation as well on these lower legs. You've also got the double jointed pinless knees, which are actually fairly alright. As I say that, they move stiff as hell. You've got the Johnny Gargano syndrome lower legs, because I feel like the kick pads definitely could go up a little bit more, especially after watching some like Lexus King matches back. The Lexus King figure that came out recently has Johnny Gargano syndrome, and I thought it was accurate, but looking back at it, definitely wasn't. But at least with the Solo, you can kind of get away with it. There's no like kick pad designs throwing it off, though. Like the little designing here on the knee pad is nice to kind of take away from that as well, because the black doesn't go all the way up the leg. I want to say that is accurate, but meh, I don't know. Of course, you've got the kick pad rotation as I was talking about a minute ago. You've got some nice foot articulation here, especially because if I recall correctly, this is some of the newer boots that have the better articulation on them. So, take with that what you will with these modern day figures, but I definitely am digging the new articulation in the ankles. They don't feel as bad as they used to. But, with all that being said, we can get them kind of posed up and get into some of these other Ultimate Edition comparisons. Alrighty, you guys. So, a little random because this isn't really like a big comparison. Well, it is, but we've got almost all of my Ultimate Editions except for I think two, maybe three. And one of them, it just doesn't have a head scan, and I don't feel like going out of my way to find said head scan. But yeah, we've pretty much got all of my Ultimate Edition figures. Oh yeah, I did think about it. It's 4 of them that I'm missing, because I can't remember where I put one of them, if I'm going to be quite frank as well. It's not on my stand. Yeah, I'll have to look for it later, because that would have been my Target exclusive Legends rock in the blue tights, or the blue design on the tights. So, that would have been kind of neat for the photo, but we do have the Target exclusive Undertaker. We've got the Walmart exclusive Rob Van Dam from the Ruthless Aggression series. We've got, can't remember any of these waves if I'm going to be real with you, but we've got the AJ, we've got LA Knight, yeah. We've got Walter, Finn Balor from the same series. We also have the Bray from the same series as the Solo. We've got Asuka. We've got Alexa. We've got Cena and Orton. We've got The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, Brock Lesnar, Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. And as I mentioned, the Legends rock. We've got the Ultimate Edition Eric Bischoff. And 2 more that, if you didn't know about them already, we'll go over when we get into the, other little comparison, as I feel like that one's going to hit a little bit harder, especially for action figure photography. But yeah, Solo is definitely looking nice up next to all my other Ultimate Editions. It's actually kind of nutty to think that I've got so many Ultimate Editions. I could actually, make a nice little shelf out of it. And that's kind of the nice feeling of collecting. Once you get to a certain point in collecting, you can make your shelves look nice. Sometimes they look a little messy like mine if you use them for pick fetting and shit, but all I can really say is that I'm definitely digging this Solo so far, despite the few little hiccups. But we can get into those when we start talking about the, overall rating, which I think we're actually going to get into right now. So hope you've liked the scenery of all the ulties, but we've got 2 more to look at alongside this Ultimate Solo, along with a few more elite figures to also compare him to. Well, here we go with the semi-finalish pose along with the bloodline comparison. Of course, I've got a few more Romans in my collection. I could have brought Paul. Could have left Sammy out here from the Ultimate Collection, as I sadly don't have the War Game Sammy just yet. One of these days, hopefully I will, but for right now, just got the main members of the bloodline here with the Usos in the red short solo along with the feet tape. You know, a little bit of a different upgrade there comparing them side by side. Of course, we've got the Ultimate Roman over there, and we've got the two versions of the Rock in Ultimate form that I have over here. And honestly, I think this solo definitely matches up quite nice. Of course, if I see it correctly, I want to say the blonde is a little bit different on the Ultimate Edition head scans compared to the previous releases, but I don't think that's really anything to bug out about or crash out about, whatever you may want to say. At the end of the day, I think this solo is a fairly good Ultimate. I do have my small little gripes with it, like the Johnny Gargano syndrome, even though it doesn't really look all that bad, especially on camera. Along with the fact that, you know, my other gripes with it being the fact that they never included the the waist wrap. Oh sheesh, here I am knocking figs over. But as you can see, this solo has like a movable waist wrap that you can hide underneath the t-shirt, but this solo sadly does not have any form of waist wrap on it. Along with the fact that, you know, we've got the wrist, like the hand tape from the wrist, not being sculpted on there at all as well, but we've got the hand tape being sculpted, as you can see here, as I used one of the Ultimate hands on the solo. But yeah, it would have been nice to see some sculpting here where the wrist tape is, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. Maybe one of these days we'll start getting stuff like that in there. But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, what would I say when it comes to ranking this figure on a scale of 1 to 10? Well, I can't get Roman Reigns to stand up for whatever reason, so let me just move that solo out of my way as we try to get Roman Reigns to stand back up. There we go. Honestly, this solo, when it comes down to it at the end of the day, very little gripes I do have with it, though I did never check out and see if the hoodie looked good on him on camera. We can always take a gander at that off camera, in my opinion, and, you know, get some nice figure shots with it potentially. But what would I rate this figure on a scale of 1 to 10? Of course, we also will do a version of the Meltzer star rating, the good old 1 to Young Buck match, as I like to call it. But on a scale of 1 to 10, this figure is fairly solid. It moves around quite well, at least for me. And with that being said, I think I'm gonna have to give this dude I think we're gonna go with a 7 out of 10. Just because the little grapes do bug me enough to degrade points off of this figure. But a good old 7 out of 10 never hurts. When it comes down to the 3 out of 5, yeah, 3 out of 5. When it comes down to the 0 to 5 stars, the good old Dave Meltzer star rating, I'm going to give this guy a solid 3 out of 5. That's what I was going to rate it, but I kind of spoiled that ahead of time. Almost like Paul Heyman's here in spirit anyways, because that wasn't just a prediction, it was a spoiler. But anywho, kind of running this video a little too long, so I guess you can say we are out of here. If you guys liked the video, feel free to like the video. If you guys did not like the video, well, womp womp, I guess. But if you did like the video, feel free to let me know. Like, if you may get this figure or anything you feel is necessary in the comments, I really don't care. As long as you're not, like, saying some absurd shit. Because some of you people be saying some weird shit. I can't lie. And I only say that because every now and again I be getting some comments that are just, like, weird and don't make sense. But that's the wrestling community for the internet, so take with it what you will. Anyway, if you did like this video, though, and, you know, you would like to, feel free to go check out some of my other videos. Of course, as of late, haven't really been uploading too much. It's taken me almost 2 weeks since my last review, but hey, at least we finally got our Elite Series 13 CM Punk. We've also got a lot of other reviews up on the YouTube channel, such as the new Walmart exclusives for the Ricky and Kenny. We've got the Will Ospreay, which actually is still fairly close with the Kenny Omega numbers. We've got some unboxings. We've got pick fed content, which, nice number to see the episode at. Almost 100 views on that episode. Definitely would like to see some more, but hey, not every episode is going to be a guaranteed draw. But with all that being said, on top of all that, if you guys could, feel free to subscribe. After all, it is free to subscribe. And, well, hey, you can kind of see a silhouette of my face. Hi there. But we're currently at 600. Yes, 600. Jesus fuck. I got myself a little distracted there looking at myself in the camera. But we got 364 subscribers, on the way to 400 subs. So if you guys could, feel free to add yourself to that number. Definitely helps me want to make more content and stuff like that. And as we're almost done with episode 15 for the pick fed, we can start getting into the 350 subscriber special, which will be the UK tour special, which I know I already announced it on Instagram. So if you don't follow me over there, feel free to follow me on Instagram under the same name of Derek's Damn Toys. But yeah, we plan to do a little tour of the UK for the pick fed, aka we're going to be holding a few night live event. I don't have to do any commentary, it's just going to be all straight pick fedding. So for those of you who enjoyed the matches like Roman versus Penta and stuff like that from back in the day, I say back in the day like I've been on here for 10 years, from I think it was like a few years ago though, if not at least 1 year. We'll have something similar kind of returning back, but expect to see a little bit more of the foreign talent from overseas in the UK. People like Sheamus, people like the New Catch Republic, aka Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, and in my federation, we've got Ridge Holland alongside them as a big heavy. Just plenty of names that should be on that card, whether it's night 1, 2, 3, or 4. But yeah, with all that being said though, I don't have all that much more left to say. So on that note, have a good rest of your day, night, evening, whatever the case may be. I don't know, because I am not in your time zone. I just know I sadly have to go to work tonight. Womp womp. At least it's only 2 full shifts, and then I get a little bit of a break, and I can come home a bit early the next following nights, which I think I'm definitely gonna do. Kind of give myself a little bit of relaxing time in a sense, aka I'm gonna come up in here and try to work out more shit with episode 15 if I don't have it done within I don't know, the next technical 3 days, even though we'll see how much I can get done today and if I get any done tomorrow. Either way, like I was saying, have a good rest of your day, night, evening, whatever the case may be. I don't know, because I am not in your time zone. Thank you for sticking around for the 24 minutes that we have been on. And we are out of here. Doses, ooses, yeet. That yeet felt a little bit more appropriate with Jey Uso standing there.